Hey guys, Rexasaur here and welcome to Update Monday on the 10th of January 2022. We're finally in the new year. I'm finally doing an Update Monday because I'm back from my travels over the holiday period. So I hope everyone had a good Christmas. I hope everyone had good New Year's. I myself have been away. I went to my parents in sunny border of Wales in Chepstow for Christmas, and then on the 27th I went to a plane where I flew all the way to the US of A. That's right, I actually managed to get to America during COVID. I flew to the US to see my girlfriend and finally meet her family, and I spent about 10 days there, and I came back on the morning of Saturday the 8th. And yeah, it's been a really good time. I've had a really good time, which feels awful because every single person that I've talked to since returning, like both in and out of work, has had a shit time. So I'm just like, this is the same as Bermuda last year. Like, everyone had a shit time while I was having a great one. Awkward. So I hope that those of you out there have had a good time and did have a good Christmas, despite all the things that have happening, despite the amount of people that have had COVID, apparently. I'm apparently still exempt from this, somehow. Still no COVID. Pretty happy with that. Despite you also travelling in like different countries and seeing a multitude of different people. But yeah, so hey ho. So this Update Monday, I'm just going to be talking about what I've been doing, basically, over the last few weeks. And try and keep it as brief as possible, but because I did a lot of things, it's probably not going to be that brief. So, Christmas was good. I see it was quite a quiet Christmas because originally we were probably going to go to France, or my grandparents were going to come from France, but that didn't happen, obviously. So it was just on the 24th after work I went to my parents. We spent Christmas Eve, which is important in France. That's when a lot of Europe celebrates Christmas on Christmas Eve. So we did that, just the three of us, and then Christmas Day was just the three of us again. So we played a lot of board games. We didn't open our presents because my brother wasn't going to be there until the 26th. So we just sort of sat around, watched a lot of films, played a lot of games. It was good. 26th came around, my brother came over with his fiance. We had a really good time, food, board games, presents. I got a lot of ducks. It's ridiculous how many ducks I got. Also got a lot of wine gums, which I have now started eating. Actually, I've got a box here. It's not empty. There's stuff in it, but I got like 3 packets of these things. My brother and his fiance crocheted me some ducks, so they're that way and I can't bother to go get them, but I'll show them next week or something. If you follow me on Instagram, which you shouldn't do, they're on there. I also got some dice because I'm a nerd. I got some bike stuff as well, which will be nice to get back into cycling. And then on the 27th I went to Heathrow and flew out. So, my experience of travel during COVID at this point, as a vaccinated person, I have to say, is very easy. It was very helped by the fact that I was going with American Airlines, or Airways? Airlines? Who knows? AA, regardless. And they have an app called Verifly, and basically you just fill in all the information on that so that when you get to the check-in, you basically just show that you've completed it on the app, and then they're like, yeah, go. So you don't have to actually take any documents with you. Of course, being me, I did take documents with me, so it was very nice. So I went through, got to my gate, waited a bit, got on the plane. It was very simple. The plane journey, however, wasn't as simple as it could have been. But yeah, so I left, 10 degree centigrade, rearing to go, quite nervous, but hey. On the plane, I was sat next to a 6-year-old child, and I'm sure everyone can appreciate the annoyance of that. He was asleep for the first 4 hours though, which was good, and then he woke up, and it was not a pleasant 4 hour left. When we were landing, I had the continued announcement of the altitude we were currently at, which is great. I have nothing against 6-year-old children, but if you're the father who has apparently decided that the plane was going to keep this child and not him, do better. So we landed in Dallas, Texas. It was 25 degrees when I landed, which apparently was unusual for the season, but I bought a very thick coat and it was too thick for 25 degrees. And it was very weird. But yeah, got to Dallas, had to go through security again, which went fine. And then small plane, Dallas to Durango, in southwest Colorado. And it was pleasant. We stuck on the tarmac. The plane, basically, when the plane arrived, it needed some repairs. There was something wonky on the top of the plane, so it had to be fixed. It took like 15 minutes. But because of the 15-minute extra wait, we actually ended up behind a load of holiday traffic, which meant we were stuck 1 hour before actually taking off. So that kind of sucked. But I was tired. I slept on the plane. I sat next to a very pleasant man from Florida, or not from Florida, he was coming back from Florida, where he met his son, who was working for the United States Navy, and we just had a nice chat on time before then landing in Durango, where it was -5 degrees and snowing, because the US, 2 hours away from each other, is complete opposite weather, apparently. So that was fun, and that's where I met my girlfriend. We drove back behind a snowplow, which was interesting. I didn't get to see much of the general countryside because it was night time. I landed at like 12:30, like midnight. On the same day I left, technically. Well, technically not, because I left on the Monday and I landed at midnight on the Tuesday, basically. After spending like 16 hours, I'd only like actually spent like 8-10 hours time zones, but no, it was good. The travel on that day was great. I didn't really feel any effect of it. There was some delays, but they were expected, kind of thing. So yeah, it was good. And then so the following day we went to, I recuperated, and by recuperated I mean I woke up at 3 a.m. thinking it was 7:30. Sorry. But that day then, the Tuesday, my girlfriend had a hair appointment, good timing, which was only supposed to take an hour, which didn't, it took 4, but I spent the afternoon with her sister. We were in a coffee shop, which was really cool. They had like some little board game stuff in the back, and I got absolutely and thoroughly thrashed at Connect 4. But it was really nice to get to know her, meet her properly. We'd chatted a few times, very briefly, but we'd never like met in person, because the first time I was meeting her family, because COVID means that we hadn't really gone that far before. Like, she'd met mine because she was here in the UK, but I was never in the US, so yeah, it was fun to finally meet her. And we had a really, really good time. And then when my girlfriend was done with the hair appointment, we went to her parents, where we had a pleasant evening, got to meet her parents, everything was good. The jet lag meant that I didn't eat much, but it's fine, because I then got it in a box and ate it later in the week. But yeah, it was a really, really good evening. It was really nice to meet her parents, and that went really well, so woohoo. Foreign day was pretty chill, if I recall correctly. We went ice skating, and that was really fun. I really love ice skating. It's not really something that you do a lot in the UK, just because ice rinks are quite few and far between. It's not really the number one sport. But I really, really enjoy it every time I've been, and we went there because there was an ice rink nearby, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. I love ice skating. And then we went to Zia's, which was a Mexican restaurant. Well, Mexican, I guess restaurant is the term. And that was an interesting... The proportions of food is very different to the UK, but not bad. It was good. The food was good, but yeah, it's like, it is a lot of food that they serve you that you're allowed to get, but you sort of get your bang for your buck. Like, it's not that expensive considering, and you get a lot of food for it. So it's like, you know what, that's fine. And the norm in the US, from what I've gathered from my short time of being there, is that you get a box. Like, if you can't finish it, you just get a box and eat it later. And it's like, oh, well, that makes sense then, that's fine. And I feel like a lot of, like, the stereotype, I guess, of what Europeans see as US is that they have a lot of food and they eat it all, but that's not actually the case at all. And for the majority of the foods that we had out, it's not that much food, really. So, yeah. That was interesting to find out. Following day, so I'm on the Wednesday. That was the Wednesday. On the Thursday, I've lost my days already. I believe that's when we went to Mesa Verde. So Mesa Verde is a national park in the US, which means it falls under the jurisdiction of the federal government. It's basically like an what's it called? What are they called here? National Trust site, except it's a bit more important. And it's a large, it's a mesa, which is like a flat, hillish area with lots of crevices and stuff, and by crevices I mean like canyon and stuff, where waters and wind and stuff has happened. And we went there. It was great. What's important about Mesa Verde is the ancient peoples of about 1,000 years ago, ancient natives in European standards, were living there. They built buildings and things like in the rock, and I'm hoping to put some photos up, so maybe I will. And as you can see in those photos, so the buildings are actually built not into the rock as much as next to and underneath, where the rock sort of folds over because of the wind and stuff, and it basically acted as natural protection from the elements at the time. And they're all built inside these large canyon-like crevices, which protected them from the elements and from nature, the wildlife and stuff. And then what they would do is they would climb up to then hunt or farm or whatever they did, or travel, and they stayed there for a good what was the 400 to 1,200, so a good quick math 600 years ish, maybe a little bit more, actually a lot more. No, that's about right, 600 to 800 years, in various different places and locations. But it was really, really fun. It was also completely snowed. My entire stay, I was seeing Colorado and Utah through snow, so that was a lot of fun. Especially since we don't really get snow here that much anymore, and if we do, it's really not a lot. Here it's quite a lot. So we did that. That was a lot of fun, and then on our way back we went to a brewery which did cider, which I didn't really know what to expect, but it is very similar to English cider rather than, say, French cider, which is what I'm used to. I like cider from both countries, but it's very much more of a British-ish kind of cider, and it was a lot of really good, really, really nice. I had a flight with different ones. So yeah, that was really good fun. We then, on the Friday, which was New Year's Eve, we went to my girlfriend's parents. We had New Year's Eve there, and we played a lot of games, watched some stuff, talked a lot. It was good fun. Played some cards, got beaten. That's just the usual. I feel like I found a good family because they're all very competitive, and I'm a very good loser. I don't mind losing. I kind of just enjoy playing the game, and that's the same with Warhammer and stuff. When I went to my Warhammer club, I was never the one who won. When I won it, I felt great, but when I lost, I don't really care because I just enjoy playing the game. But yeah, so it was good fun to be there and to talk to them and to really get to know them. We did a walk with my girlfriend's mother along the riverside, and that was good. And we saw a bunch of ducks. That's always a good day. And then on New Year's Day, Saturday, we took a train, choo-choo. So Durango has a train line to a town called Silverton, which is a silver and I think it was coal as well, mining town, up in the mountains, 60-ish miles north. So there's a very old, I say very old, it's old, train line, which has a steam-powered engine, which is what we took. To go halfway between the two, because during winter they close it off because it's too far and it's a bit dangerous. So we go off to a canyon that's in the mountains itself, so you ride this train through the mountain trails that they had, and it's really, really beautiful, whilst also being ridiculous how dangerous it looks. And people went up there to build this shit, and it's still used today. And that was really cool. The snow was really thick up there, to the point where I put my leg in and it went all the way up to my hip. It was dumb, but it was really, really nice. We had a really, really good time, and yeah, that was really fun. to do that. First train of the year and last train, I think. No, not the last train of the year, but it was. Well, obviously, it wouldn't be the last train of the year, but like the last train of that winter period. But I don't think it was. I think it was like the second to last or something. Regardless, it was really good. Had a lot of fun. It was really beautiful. It stopped snowing by then. Like the New Year's Eve was when it was the last day where it actually snowed, but the snow obviously stayed for ages. But yeah, it was really cool. And then we went to a place which did burgers. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's like Grass Burger or something. But that was really nice. Oh, it was such a good burger. Wolfed it down. But yeah, that was really nice as well. And then the Saturday, what did we do? Well, that was New Year's Day, Paul, so I just said what you just did. The Sunday, we went back to my girlfriend's parents for the final time, as they were off on the Monday somewhere, and we were off as well. So we just spent the day with them. Played some board games, played some Settlers of Catan with them, as well as some code names. My girlfriend's sister did the cooking. She made a really nice curry and cookies, which were really nice. Yeah, that was good fun. It was just nice to be among family, I guess. It's not really something that I'm used to doing that much, especially with COVID, and just like, it was just nice to be part of people's who, it was fun to be around. So yeah, that was good. And then on the Monday, we zoomed off. Did we do that on Monday? We must have done, yeah. So on Monday we went to Utah. We went to Moab, which is where it's basically desert town. But we did a road trip. It was only 4 hours. It was more like 3.5. But we stopped along the way to several different sites. We got Newspaper Rock, which is like a picto? I can't remember what the hell it's called. In French, you would call it, I don't even know what you call it in French. I was going to say fresque, but I don't think that's correct. Either way, they're basically drawings that have been made into the rock. And what they were used for was for the natives who travelled, nomadic peoples who travelled between places, would stop at these places and draw what they had seen, so like animal movements, great feats, general stories, and the fact that they're so like brilliantly placed and you can still see them and they're not faded is ridiculous. And it was really, really cool to see that. And then we moved on to finally get to Moab. Moab's a very Mormon city, apparently. Or not even a city, like a small town. But it was very American. And yeah, it was good. And then we did the Arches National Park, where we went to Devil's Garden. And there's a lot of pictures that should be coming up now. But it was a lot of fun. We went to Devil's Garden, which is part of the park. There are several different places, but we decided to go there to do what we were going to do, a primitive loop. However, we got to a point where we basically, because it snowed, we were following the trail, but it turns out no one knows where they're going. So we followed like this path, and it turns out like these people didn't really know where they were going. So we turned back because we figured it wasn't the right way. And then when we got where we thought was the right way, we met a couple who also couldn't find the way, but they'd gone what we possibly was the right way. Looking back, what we probably should have done is not taken their word for it and maybe tried to go forward, but at this point we were so, I think, defeated by the fact that we hadn't found it in the first place that we decided to just go back on ourselves to the beginning and then take the other way around the loop, basically. A lot of climbing, a lot of snow, very slippery, but it was so gorgeous, as I'm sure you can see from the pictures. And it was interesting to see the desert in snow. It was crazy, like, when you think about it. And it's normal. It is normal for it to look that way, especially in the cold season. And there's a lot of locations within the desert which has things called washes, which is where the snow melt goes, and apparently those riverways get really fast, really dangerous, and you don't want to be near them basically when it happens because you just get flown away. but yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool. And then we went back from Moab then on the Wednesday. So we spent like 2 nights there, 3 days. Went back, and then we chilled. Then we went to a restaurant and like just a general time in town, basically. It was good. And then I went home on the Friday morning in US time, and I landed Saturday morning UK time. So my trip back was longer. The flight back from Durango was great because it was blue skies and it was morning, so I could actually see below. So I got to see like the entirety of like Texas below me, all of these fields that are circular because of the machinery that they use. The amazingness that is the Rockies, and just being able to look down and see like the expanse. One thing that I'm still trying, like, 2 things. As someone who does D&D, means I build world maps, and I just don't understand geography, basically, because I build world maps, people are like, that doesn't make sense because blah blah blah, and then you look at the US and you're like, well, that doesn't make sense because people have told me that doesn't make sense because that's... So it turns out no one actually knows how geography works. So yeah, next time I build a world map, I'm going to say fuck off. Find me on the map where that doesn't work by looking at the entire globe. So yeah, but the other thing was the amount of trees. There are so many trees in the US, especially specifically where I've been. But like even in the desert, you kind of look out and you just got greenery like covered. You got snow and then you got greenery just everywhere, and you're like, this is supposed to be the desert. Like, what's going on? And then every mountain. So the mountains that I'm used to, like the mountains here, have like big shrubs, like these huge forests that are like very close trees together, and then nothing. You got fields, you got all just barren grassland. Or the other hills I'm used to, like the Alps in France or things, it's just you got mountains, which is just rock and snow. Here it's trees, but dotted trees around. It's like someone used an airbrush when painting, but they kind of put it on like the density on really low, so you've got like 5 trees in like a 100-meter like thing, and then it just keeps going, and you just got little dots of trees like literally everywhere. They're like equidistant from each other, but it's all natural. There's no no one's planted them there, but they're on the hills, they're on the mountains, they're just holding up. Like, I don't understand. I still, it's really confusing for me. I don't get it. Not because it doesn't make sense, but just because I've not seen it before, and it just, to me, is not how trees and forests naturally grow. But I feel like the expanse of it, like the fact that it's so widely like there, like every mountain has trees on it that go almost to the very top of it, and only like the very peaks of it don't have trees. And the fact that this is happening at 6,000 feet high, like, to me, I don't know, it's crazy. I don't understand it. I said I understood it, but I don't really. Like, I appreciate that it exists because I have seen it, but I don't understand it. But it also makes sense why they have so many fucking forest fires because the trees are everywhere, and it's stupid. And no wonder it's so hard to get them under control, because there are trees everywhere and they're dotted all over the place. They're not like closely compact. Like, if you have a forest fire in the UK, you just cut the fucking forest, like, and then you're done. Like, okay, well, we'll put fire retardant there, we'll create a barrier around this forest because that's all the chunk that is there. But even if the whole forest burns down, it's fine because the next forest is a mile that way. Not every single tree is 2 meters from the other tree. It's crazy. I can't believe going to the US, and that's the point that I have to make about that. There's a lot of other things. We saw some good deer. We saw some deer, just wild deer, but in the town, just hanging. That was weird. We saw some very fat turkeys on top of Mesa Verde, and I mean, they were like bigger than that. Like, it's crazy. We saw some coyotes as well. We saw one stalking around in the arches, and I saw one on our way back, just in a field, just stalking through. I think it was a coyote, because if I recall correctly, there aren't any wolves in Colorado at the moment, although they are being reintroduced elsewhere in the US. So very likely just another coyote. But it was just moving. Stalking, really cute. We saw a load of birds, like birds of prey absolutely everywhere. The crows are huge in the US. Like, we've got crows which are maybe about this big. Their crows are like yay big, like they're about twice the size. It's stupidly dumb. But we also saw like little burbies, small ones. We saw lots of tracks as well, especially in the snow. It's easier to see them. So like rabbits, raccoons, all that kind of cool stuff. We had a moment where we thought we heard something dangerous, so we were kind of concerned when we were in the mountain arches, but we were alright. It didn't show us, or either we scared it or something, but it's just to the point where your girlfriend goes, maybe we should make some noise. Keep talking. And I was like, oh, that's concerning. But yeah, it was good fun. That's about it. That's all I have to say. So now that I'm back, don't know what I'm going to be doing. Later this year, going to be going back to the US, probably for a longer time. But for now, for the next few months, it's just going to be preparation for my brother's wedding and chilling and working on the latter half of this year, like preparing stuff. Because we've got some big plans, and by big plans I mean I'm going to be moving to the US for a few months, hopefully. Just to see if it works out in terms of living with my girlfriend over a longer period. And if it does work out, then we'll see what the future brings us. Although from the discussions that we've had, very unlikely that we'll be staying in the US. So for those of you wondering, it's like, oh my god, he's going forever. That's not going to happen. At least not currently. So yeah. That's that. I hope that you guys once again have had a very good Christmas. And I will... Actually, before I go, just remembered, we had movie night yesterday. That's right, I came back in time for movie night where we watched The Godfather. Good film. Very good film. I'd seen it before, but it was a while ago. Like, both me and Donkey, we'd seen it like 8 or so years before, like a very long time ago, so we couldn't really remember what was happening. But it's a good movie. I'm really looking forward to part 2, which we're watching next Sunday. Hopefully Cucumber will join us. Who fucking knows? Fucking Hulu is there. So yeah. In any case, I'm really looking forward. I'm glad I'm back, because it means I can do D&D again, which I've been missing. I'm going to try and do more cycling this year as well, while I can. And yeah, hopefully it'll be good. I'm feeling better. The latter half of last year was really, really tough. But I feel like in terms of my personal life, I've got a plan this year, whereas last year it felt like we had a plan which just collapsed because COVID really didn't want to let up, and it was really difficult for us to figure something out. But this year we've got a plan which, because we're vaccinated, shouldn't be a problem, and the only problem is going to be governments, basically, and hoping that nothing goes wrong in terms of governments, but also that all the documentation that we need is easy to find and not too expensive. Yeah, and then I'm just looking forward to doing stuff. A lot of games are coming out in February, which I'm looking forward to playing, specifically Horizon Forbidden West, as well as Warhammer 3 is coming out. Obviously that's important to me, and I hope that I'm going to get back into Total War through that, because I need to feel that again. Yeah, and there's a few other games coming out which I'm looking forward to, but for now, like, I'm just chilling. I've had a quiet day yesterday with the film. Today's been back at work, which has been alright. Like, I didn't come back to as many emails as I thought I would, but also Christmas period, that's kind of normal. Yeah, it's just at the moment, like, as I was saying at the beginning of the Update Monday, a lot of people that I know have had COVID and stuff, and it feels kind of shit. But, you know, they're still alive, so that's good, I guess. But yeah, it's tough to see other people having a tough time when I've had such a great time. But hey, I shouldn't be feeling too sorry for them, considering this time, like last year, I was feeling great, and then I had a really shit year. But it's all relative. I'm happy that they're okay now. I'm happy that I'm happy, and I hope that it stays that way, and that we can maintain this energy into this year, 2022. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, thanks for watching. I hope that you guys have a really good week, and I look forward to hopping back into streams for those of you out there who watch this who stream, or just chatting to you in general. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this Update Monday. Hope that I decide to edit some fucking photos into this. I probably will. It's a long one, not super long, but long enough. Chico, I hope that you're having a good time on the shitter. I know that like yesterday you went and I know you need this for you. So this is for you. And there we go. for anyone outside of the conversation that happened yesterday, just like, what the fuck is happening? And Cucumber, this is why you should come to the movie night, because you know exactly what will be happening. That's all I have to say about that. But yeah, have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon.